Joining us online is Senator Tim Sheehy. He's a brand new senator, one of the excellent senators added to the Republican roster. I had the privilege of campaigning with Senator Sheehy in Montana during the last election cycle. I wanted to have him on to talk about what's going on in D.C., plus what's going on in California, because he founded Bridger Aerospace, which was an aerial firefighting and wildfire management company. Senator Sheehy, great to see you on the program as an actual sworn-in senator.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for all your support.
So let's talk about what you are expecting next week, the inauguration. What is the first job of the Senate as the new administration begins?
Well, the first job is really what we're already doing, which is pretty incredible. That Leader Thune's got us on an aggressive schedule, which is get Trump's nominees confirmed, get them in place so we can be operational moving forward on the agenda. And I think we've got 12. We've already had 12 hearings and appointments go through this week alone through committee. And that's fantastic. That's an awesome pace. I mean, the president's not even sworn in yet, and we're already making incredible progress towards getting his cabinet confirmed and in place. So that's the top priority. That's what we have to focus on, because to get all the trickle-down effects of the America First agenda, which won decisively in November, we have to get the executive agencies turned over and ready to execute on that day one. So that's what we're doing.
So obviously you were on the panel that was questioning Pete Hegseth as the possible Secretary of Defense. I think that he's going to fly through with flying colors, given his performance, which I think was excellent. I wanted to get your opinion. You had a pretty colorful exchange with Pete about the number of genders, about the sort of military specs on various operational systems and all the rest. What did you think of Pete's performance? How do you think his vote's going to go?
He did a fantastic job. He really did. And listen, I mean, it's the confirmation here is the advising consent role is very important. So I don't think any of us expect this to be easy. No one expects these hearings to, hey, we just walk on through. But they're supposed to be tough. We got to ask tough questions. But there's tough questions, then there's just smear crap. And that's what we saw with Pete. Same thing we saw with Brett Kavanaugh, Clarence Thomas a long time ago. I mean, this is the Democrats' tactic, is if they don't want someone to get the job, they just smear them. They did in my campaign. They do it to these nominees. And we don't need that. I have no problem with them asking tough, pointed questions about the ability of this person to do the job. What they're doing is just trying to smear his character and make him look bad. But he held up fantastically well. He did a great job paring these ridiculous attacks away and staying focused on his message, which he did. And I agree with you. I think he's going to be just fine.
So, Senator Sheehy, one of the big questions going forward is going to be sort of the strategy of the Senate in terms of getting President Trump's agenda through. Obviously, while we won a big victory, we meaning conservatives won a big victory over the course of the election cycle, that only resulted in a 53-seat majority in the Senate, which means you really can't lose a lot of votes on any sort of bill, which means also that the filibuster comes into play. Reconciliation means that probably there's only one or two big bills that get passed this year. How do you think that plays out?
No, I think you're right. I mean, it's obviously not a 60-seat majority. We always knew we were not going to have that. So, I mean, we're going to have to compromise. The Senate's built that way. So I think we all wish we could just say, damn the torpedoes, do what we want. That's just not the way. That's not the way it works. And for good reason. The framers designed it that way. And I'm a constitutionalist and respect that deeply. So, there's certain things we're going to be able to get done through reconciliation and hopefully make the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act permanent. A handful of other things, obviously border legislation. The good news about border legislation is it's been such an abject disaster that, like you saw with Lake and Raleigh Act, I mean, there's been a lot of Democrats realizing, I need to be behind this. Not only do I need to be, I should be, because this is a crisis we have to fix. So I think that really the key things that folks are going to be focused on, like the border, like getting the economy sorted out, I think we can actually probably pass those with Democrat support. But you're right. After that, it's going to get a lot tougher.
There's more on this in a moment. First, here is something fascinating. Until the 1990s, the U.S. government classified encryption as munitions. They literally categorized it alongside weapons. And you know what? They weren't totally wrong. Encryption is indeed quite powerful. It is your shield against those who would like to exploit your personal information online. That's why we use ExpressVPN. It's an elegant solution that encrypts your internet connection and routes it through secure servers, keeping your online activity private exactly the way it should be. I've been using ExpressVPN for years now. Honestly, I wouldn't go online without it. Think about it. Without encryption, your digital life is an open book. Your internet service provider can legally sell your browsing history. Data brokers track your every move across websites. Government agencies can peek into your online world, but here is the best part. ExpressVPN makes privacy simple. One tap, and when the app turns green, you're protected. It works across all devices, phones, laptops, tablets. A single subscription covers up to 8 devices. Encryption's a weapon. It's one that you have a legal right to use for your own protection. But it's up to you to exercise that right. If you decide to take action today, you can find out how you can get 4 months for free by scanning the QR code on screen, clicking the link in the description box below, or by heading on over to expressvpn.com/Ben Shapiro Show. Senator Sheehy, I also want to ask you about the California wildfires, given your history in aerial firefighting, wildfire management. You've been watching this disaster unfolding in California. Being on the inside of that industry, having founded a very successful company in that industry, what is the thing that Americans don't know about firefighting that maybe they need to know to understand what policy screw-ups were made in California?
Well, there's no national standard for wildfire response time or ability. If you dial 911 where you're sitting right now, NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association, mandates that there'll be a fire truck and a fire crew at your house in about 5 minutes. That's a national standard. And that was founded after the great fires of the 19th century, the great Chicago fire, Kansas City, when entire cities would burn down in these firestorms. Folks came out of the ashes of those and realized we can't keep letting our cities burn to the ground. We need to come up with a code to build buildings, to respond to fires, and to create fire departments that can promptly respond to fires. And as a result of that adoption of those codes, structure firefighter and civilian deaths have dropped over 80% in the last few decades because we focused on response time and having firefighters and aircraft ready to go. You go to wildfire, there is no requirement nationally to respond to a wildfire in a certain amount of time, none. And what happens is, imagine in your community there, if there hadn't been a fire in a week, and the mayor said, you know what, we haven't had a house fire in a week. We're going to fire the firefighters, sell the fire engines, and rent out the fire station because obviously there hasn't been a fire. We don't need them. That's what we do with our wildland firefighting community. We lay off our firefighters. We don't pay them like the professionals they are. We send the airplanes and the helicopters home. And then when a fire starts, like in LA, like in Texas last spring, like in New Jersey in November, we are not ready to launch on these incidents in the same fashion that we would for structure fire. So we need to adopt far more aggressive national codes. And of course, as we're seeing in California, environmental policies, as well-intentioned as they may be, have consequences. And when you decide that you're going to prioritize an endangered species, spotted owl, the smelt fish, the Eurasian snailfish, whatever the hell you want to, list today, when you prioritize that over the safety of your communities, there are impacts. And now we're seeing what those impacts are. So I think it's a wake-up call. I wrote an op-ed in December, and I hate to be right on something like this, but I wrote an op-ed in December that literally, and many of us I wrote a book called Mudslingers, where all the proceeds go to wildland firefighters. But it talked about this exact scenario that we are not ready for the big one. It's coming, and America's going to have a very rough wake-up call when they realize we cannot fight wildfire at the level we need to. Lahaina, Maui was burned off the map, 100 people killed a year and a half ago. Obviously, we're watching LA burn today. Texas had the largest fire in their history last year. We're not ready for this. And this is America First, Ben, as when people say, well, America First is machismo, nationalist isolation. It's like, no, not at all. What America First means is it's not too much for our people to ask that our government will put their interests first. America First means common sense, that the first role of government is to keep their people safe. Safety, that's it. And when you can't protect people from fire and the whole city's engulfed in a firestorm, something's got to change.
Well, that's Senator Tim Sheehy. Again, amazing addition to the United States Senate. Senator, congratulations on becoming a sworn senator. And we're looking forward to seeing what you do in D.C.
All right, thanks, Ben. Keep going. Appreciate it.
Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.